Hello and welcome. This is Penny Sansevieri with Author Marketing Experts, and I'm pleased to have you back to talk about how to rock out on Twitter. I also wanted to let you know I just published a book, Red Hot Internet Publicity, which is the updated version of Red Hot Internet Publicity that was out, I think, about a year or so ago. So this book is just out a month, and it's great. It's packed full of information. Get your copy today. One of the biggest questions that we get, or that I get specifically, is how to get more followers on Twitter. And people have, for years, people asked me, do you think Twitter's really got staying power? And obviously it does. And it can be really instrumental in growing your fan base, spreading your message, and also building your platform. So, one of the biggest ways to grow your following is to use media. And by media, I mean images and video. And images, Instagram, I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Video is, you can use obviously your YouTube channel. I recommend using Twitter Vine, and I'm going to show you in just a second what that is. Part of the reason why I like the integration of other social media platforms in Twitter is because it helps to increase your visibility overall. And it can also help to increase your clout score. Now, Clout is, if you go to clout.com, Clout is a social media monitoring tool. And essentially what it does is they assign you a score depending on how much influence you have or they feel that you have in social media. And it's not really about the numbers, it's about the engagement. So the more places that you're engaging with people, so you're incorporating Instagram and Vine, you're incorporating your video, you're incorporating, Instagram with Twitter, you're incorporating video, and then Twitter Vine, that all helps to build your credibility and, also explore these platforms. Twitter Vine has seen huge growth, and the essence of it, if you haven't heard of it or haven't used it yet, is basically 6-second videos. And I'm going to slide a screen over so you can see it. So basically, what it is just 6-second videos. Now, this is obviously takes some talent and is a little bit harder to do, but the idea being that you create a video around your passion or your message or something like that. This is kind of cool, right? Where this guy sort of pulls his car in and pushes it back out again. Now, people are using this to showcase product. They're using this to, they're using this to maybe if you've done events or something like that, you can do a little 6 second of you chatting. I know it's not a huge amount of time, but the platform is growing something that's pretty cool too. Is growing something pretty incredible. It's growing at an incredible pace, and part of that is because we have just become such an enormously visual society. I mean, YouTube is growing in extraordinary numbers, and so video obviously is really, video and images are really leading the way. So some really cute stuff, possibly appropriate, maybe not appropriate for what you're doing, but kind of gives you some idea. And you can go to, you probably see the URL up at the top, or you can search best Vine, Twitter Vine videos, and you come back to this page. So the idea then is to, integrate as much media as you can. And I've tested this actually on my own account and on dummy accounts that I sort of experiment on this stuff with. And part of why I do that is so that it's a little bit of a, so that in all fairness, I mean, I have got 52 whatever thousand followers. So I don't want to skew the results with, people who know me. So we've tested this out, and it absolutely does work. More app mentions. Now, what that is for example, I am at Book Gal, and you can, if you like something that I've tweeted, you might say, "Hey, at Book Gal, this is great. I really like that." But some of the numbers are pretty staggering, in that how many people, how quickly you can grow your Twitter following by using app mentions. 17%, which may not seem like a lot, but I'll tell you, just for mentioning other people and and their tweets, it's a pretty, it can be a pretty significant number. So just kind of keep that in mind. At mentions means that obviously, and we'll talk about retweets in a second, but at mentions just sort of calling somebody out on your Twitter page and saying, hey, this is great, love your stuff, love XYZ post that you did, whatever that is. So just make it, don't make it too bland, like, hi, how's it going? But just the at mentions. A lot of times you'll see that in like Follow Fridays and Writer Wednesdays and things like that on Twitter where people just do, at mentions. Hashtags are also really fun, and hashtags can when you increase engagement. So in the first bullet point, and most of this information, by the way, I got off of pointer.org. There's a whole bunch of testing that you can see. Hashtags and URLs, which we'll talk about in a second, can double engagement. And when you double engagement, you're generally increasing your Twitter followers. I also recommend to go to targeted hashtags on your Twitter page. You can usually see popular things that are trending that day. If they relate to anything that you're doing, I certainly recommend utilizing those. Popular hashtags also get grouped. So sometimes people will just search on hashtags. Like, for example, I will search on hashtags that have to do with ebook or publishing. And, if you're utilizing that, if you're in the industry and utilizing that, you can get some more attention because of this grouping factor. Okay. Retweeting, one of the things I recommend with retweeting, and actually Mari Smith recommends this, or I think she was one of the first ones to talk about it when I saw her speak over a year ago, is to add a little something like you see in parentheses, great post. So don't just retweet somebody, just blandly retweet them. Add, hey, great post, love this article, something like that. One of the other things that I'll do is I'll retweet bigger names, because they generally, not only do they have great content, but it's also a really great way to connect with people like Mari Smith and Amy Porterfield and Gary Vaynerchuk and, really, really big social media people. So I'll have a couple of lists going in Twitter. And I think we talked about Twitter lists in another video. And I'll have Twitter lists going for, entrepreneurism, social media, publishing, and I'll just watch those lists during the day and see who's posting stuff. And it's a great way to get some fantastic content to your followers too. So some other tips quickly: leave enough room for retweets. That's really important. Ideally 20 characters. I know that the short amount that you already have in Twitter seems like now we're shortening it by 20 more, but it'll really help you to get retweeted, because most people are not going to shorten your tweet unless it's really, really, really important to them. So when I've retweeted other people and I want to add something to the end, like this is a great post, or I hope my followers try this, or something like that, I'm finding that I'm having to go in and edit their tweet, and unless it's really important, I'm probably not going to send it out to my followers. Breaking news, I always recommend to share news first if you can. If your topic has a breaking news or a news cycle to it, which most do, I recommend using Bitly to shorten your URLs. Bitly, you can go to Bitly. Just as it's listed, create an account, and it'll also help you to track how many people have clicked on particular links. So it's a good tracking. I will always do live tweeting during events, and particular in my industry, lots of for things like the Oscars and Tonys and whatnot, lots of movies, lots of books get turned into movies, lots of movies turn into books. So that's something that I will, and so if there is something big going on in the industry, maybe it's there's some big event that you can tie into, really, really, really recommend live tweeting. But again, you've got to contribute effectively to the, don't just use like the Oscars hashtag just for the sake of using it. And the final point is to really stay positive. And one of the things that we found is that Twitter followers tend to be they're not really connected to you per se. I mean, you're going to have people that follow you that know you clearly, but they're not connected to you per se in a way that is necessarily that is where they know you. Oh, well, Penny, is probably just having a bad day or something. I mean, people tend to really take offense to negativity on Twitter in particular. I mean, most of the time we always encourage people to stay positive, but one of the things I found on Twitter is that you really you really don't, you want to sort of, you can't contribute effectively to the conversation, I recommend that you stay away from that. And that's it. And I will tell you that if you incorporate those tips, it can really, really enhance. I mean, we've seen, when I do this on an account that isn't, again, tied to me, just to do sort of a very fair and effective testing, you know, I can see 10 new followers a day. If, as you're retweeting people, you're using app mentions, you're using hashtags and stuff like that. So you can really start to bump your numbers up. And this is a small account. I don't know where you are at your particular, Twitter journey, but I suspect that the numbers will vary. For some, it'll be, you may add 100 people a day. Other people may add 5 a day, but as long as your numbers are increasing, you know that you're doing something right. And again, it really helps with your platform. So consider using Media, Instagram, Twitter, Vine. They have apps now for both the iPhone and the Droid. And it's just a really, really great system. And I wish you the best of luck on Twitter. I'd love to get your feedback. You can reach us at amarketingexpert.com or info@amarketingexpert.com. Thanks for sitting in on this session. Bye-bye.